Hello everyone, it's Tom the taxi driver and welcome to my ultimate guide to picking up at Heathrow or any airport for that matter. This is the guide that you don't even realise that you need, but one day it's going to come in super handy and you can thank me for all the money that you'll save. Let's get started. First off, before you do anything, you're going to need to get some details from your passengers. That is a flight number, the airline, because sometimes the flight numbers aren't always that obvious as to which airline it is, and the date that they're going to arrive. You can usually discern other details from those three key bits. If they want to give you extras like what terminal they're landing at, what airport they're going to be landing at, that's all good as well, but you can generally find that information from the flight number anyway. Now, it's really important you know what date people are going to be arriving, because the flight number does not tell you that information. Think about the flight number like a bus route. You know, that bus route runs every single day. In most cases, that flight will run every single day. So really important that you know which day they're landing. Once you've got the flight details, then you can put it into Google just to confirm it, double check it, and that will usually tell you who the carrier is. In this case, it's British Airways, and it's coming from Dublin to London. It's also good to chuck it into Google because sometimes different flight operators will have a share code. Say you have an American passenger who's booked with Delta in the United States. They will have a Delta flight number, but the flight might actually be operated by British Airways. So in which case, when you go to the terminal within Heathrow, it's going to be a British Airways flight number. So again, Google helps translate some of these. You've taken their details, confirmed they're correct. You can put that in the calendar and say, you're awesome, I'll see you in a month's time. Let's fast forward nearer to the day. Now, about 2 days before my friends or clients are due to arrive, I will check their flight numbers on Flight Radar. Why would I do this so early, you might be asking? Well, I want to build up a bit of a projection of when that flight is likely to land. I'm going to go BA831, and that will come up with about a week of that flight number. Probably about 3 days that have already been, and then 3 days that are yet to come. It landed about bang on time, about within 2 minutes of scheduled arrival on the 4th. On the 5th, it landed about 29 minutes late. On the 3rd, it landed 6 minutes early. It's usually up to about a 40-minute variance, but it could sometimes be longer. Now, the reason why I like to do this 2 days in advance is I like to message my clients exactly where I'm going to meet them and how I'm going to meet them. Think about it. If they've got a 10-hour flight and they've obviously got a few hours beforehand getting ready for the flight, and if there's a time zone difference, then doing it a day in advance, they might already be well on their way into the airport, meaning they're not going to be looking at their phone, they might already be on the plane, whatever. Also, I confirm their flight numbers because, again, leading up to the time of travel, they might have had a flight change. So it's just a good time to check in with them, because if their flight's changed, they might not have notified you because they've got 1,000,001 other things to think about. Now, my passengers might have 1,000,001 things to think about, but I have one less because of the sponsor of today's video, and that is AG1. AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement containing vitamins, minerals, botanicals, and bacterial cultures, all within one simple scoop. And that's why it's become an instrumental part of my morning ritual. You know, I take supplements for optimized energy, you know, better skin, focus, but knowing I can do it in just one scoop like that is a lot less faff. It tastes like one of those quite neutral juices, so it's super easy and refreshing to have first thing in the morning. A couple of key benefits for me is improved focus and energy, so I'm sustained throughout the day and I don't get that caffeine crash that I normally get from my morning coffee. And benefits with skin, hair and nails. You'll know that I've struggled with my skin before, but the supplements that I used to take individually are all contained within this one drink. So vitamin A, zinc, it just means I don't have to deal with the faff of managing all those supplements. To simplify your supplementary needs, just go to drinkag1.com/Tom the taxi driver to get started on your order. Using that link, AG1 is going to give you a 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2, as well as 5 AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Big thanks to AG1 for sponsoring the video. Now, let's figure out how we're going to pick up our passengers from Heathrow Airport. Now, if only that was as easy as drinking AG1. The other thing I'll message them is exactly where I'm going to meet them, more than likely inside of the terminal because it's just one of the easiest ways to meet people, and at what time I'll meet them. Now, timing is a separate issue, and there's kind of a few different ways of calculating this, i.e. how long it takes for someone to land, get off the plane, and then come out into the terminal. And this is important because this will be how much you're going to spend in car parking costs, and also how long you're going to spend dilly-dallying around in the terminal. So a number I was taught years ago is that if you've got someone who's really good at flying, they know their way around airports, and also they're coming back to their home country, so like there's no like issues with customs or having to, you know, passport control and stuff like that, then without luggage, or just like, you know, hand luggage, is about 20 minutes from when the plane lands to out the other side, and with luggage, they've got to wait for the luggage carousel, about 40 minutes or so. If it's someone's first time to London, obviously you want to add a bit of time to it. If they've got a family, again, add time as well. There's more variables here. So my general is at 45 minutes minimum if they've got hold luggage. So my message will be something like this. Hi, it's Tom, the taxi driver. Seeing that you're flying from Dublin to London Heathrow, BA 831, landing at 8:45. I'll be in the terminal from 9:30 at the earliest. That way, if they do, for some reason, get through stupidly quick, or if the flight does land really, really early, they know that I'm only going to be in the terminal at 9:30. That's the expectation they've got. I usually drop them my number and say, look, you can contact me via WhatsApp, whatever, because at the end of the day, if they've just landed, they might not have, you know, cellular data. They will have to wait to connect onto the Wi-Fi. It just puts them at ease a little bit because there's that moment when they land and they've got no connectivity, especially if they're not a seasoned traveller. So from doing this, the passenger knows when I'm likely to be in the terminal, and I now have an aim of when to get to the terminal. So ideally, I want to be parking around 9:20, you know, maybe 9:25. It takes about 5 minutes or so just to get down into the terminal. So let's go with 9:25. Another really important one to do, you know, a day, 2 days before, is to check how long your drive is going to be. So with Google Maps, let's say you live in Bedfordshire. So if I just did my drive right now, it says 1 hour, 6 minutes. At the time of recording this is 11 o'clock in the morning. The traffic at 11 o'clock is going to be far different than what it will be at, like, you know, near 9 o'clock. But Google's got a great feature. If you press the little 3 dots at the top there, you can say set depart or arrive time. So you can go Tuesday, 7 November, 9:20. So it says here between an hour and 10 minutes and 2 hours and 20 minutes. To counter for the worst case scenario, I should be leaving my house at 7 in the morning to ensure that I get to Terminal 5 for 9:20. Pretty mad, isn't it? But this is just a rough guide that I can leave in my calendar as a kind of real early worst case scenario. Obviously, best case scenario is an hour and 10 minutes, so half the time. Now, on the day of, you wake up at 6:30. What I like to do as soon as I get up is start the sat-nav, because it will tell you right there and then how long it's going to take, when you're going to turn up by. And I'll just leave this running in the background whilst I'm getting ready, whilst I'm showering, whilst I'm making breakfast, and you can just keep checking in with it. It's a great time to go back to Flight Radar and punch that flight number in, because you can see what the kind of trajectory of the flight is. Is it still scheduled to be on time? Is it not? And remember, throughout that flight, that will constantly update, because it might be delayed in actually departing if it's a short flight, so it could still be sitting on the tarmac. Even as the plane gets really close to the airport, they might do that thing where they have to circle the airport a few times, so you can just refresh Flight Radar and see, oh, okay, it's going to be landing in, oh, it's 5 minutes later now. Oh, it's 5 minutes later now. When you feel ready, it's of course time to leave the house and drive to the airport. Now, you might be wondering, where can I pick up at these airports? Is there like a sneaky place I can go pick up so I don't have to pay any pickup fees? Well, sadly, no. I think years ago, and you still probably get some private hire drivers that do this, they would go to the drop-off point, because the drop-off point used to be free of charge, meaning that if you didn't stay there for too long, you could sort of meet your passengers there and they'd go in. Now that it costs a fiver to drop off at Heathrow, there's not much difference in using the drop-off point, which you're not allowed to do anyway, or just going through to the official pickup zone. And it's a much better impression on your clients when you meet them in the terminal, rather than, you know, doing the cheap thing of, hey, can you come meet me in this really non-discreet location? You've got to walk out the terminal with your cases, cross a road, do a left, go round the back of a bush. That's not professional. So go to one of the official pickups. Short stay pickup, of course. What's the difference between these? Well, obviously, short stay pickup is going to be right next to the terminal. You can do a mid stay, and it's going to be cheaper, but you've then got to get a bus from the mid stay to the terminal. just go to the short stay. But what about if you get to the airport way too early? Because short stay parking is expensive, right? Well, you do have options, and that is to go and chill out somewhere else. So along the Bath Road, one of my stopping points is the McDonald's. Sweet man! You've got the other McDonald's down there, Terminal 4. Some of the hotels will probably be limited on time because they only have like 10 minutes for like dropping off. But you can sometimes get side streets as well, but always just worth checking all the signages. So here is 60 minutes, no return within 2 hours. Don't do what some of the Ubers do and park on the hard shoulder, because it's obviously very much against the law and it's incredibly dangerous. Why would you want to do something like that? I remember at Stansted Airport, if you stopped in the Starbucks car park but then decided to walk to the McDonald's, which was next to the Starbucks, you would get a ticket because that was the conditions of that car park. There's no point in turning up to the short stay car parking as soon as they land at 8:45, because if it takes them 45 minutes to get through passport control, well, you'd have instantly swallowed £9.50, because that's the fee of 45 minutes onwards. And it goes up and up from there. Short stay parking is not cheap. That's why we're trying to optimise this, because it gives you the most amount of time and the least amount spent on parking. It left 8 minutes late, but obviously it doesn't really make much difference in aviation. You can see it was due to turn up at 2:10, but it's going to turn up or arrive 20 minutes early. Or if they're going to land later, in which case you can just sort of chill out here a bit longer, maybe do some jobs around the taxi, check your tyre pressures, clean the cab, clean the glass, whatever. If they have landed earlier, you can just send them a quick message and just say, hey, so you've landed earlier, I'm going to be in the terminal from this time. As an example, when you turn up to the short stay at Terminal 3, you come in on the ground floor. Get your ticket, that's quite important. I think they charge you for the privilege of losing a ticket. But yeah, most of the arrivals are all on the bottom deck, meaning that the further up you go, the more levels you need on the elevator, the longer the time it will take for you to travel the levels, because more people, more variables of people getting in and out. Terminal 3 car park is also a swine because it joins the terminal building at the first floor, meaning that you have to come down to the first floor, go across like a walkway, and then go down another floor to get to the arrivals level. Just something to bear in mind when you pick up your passengers, that they're going to have to do 2 lifts. With Terminal 5, you actually start at the top of the car park, because you come in via the drop-off point and you actually work your way down the car park. Again, knowing that the arrivals are all on the ground floor, it makes sense to go as far down the car park as you can. Obviously, you don't go too far, because if you gamble it and think, oh, there might be spaces on the second floor, first floor, and then you'll be out the car park and you have to go back round all over again. Obviously, try and remember where you parked, take a photo maybe. Row N, and then you go down to the terminal and pick up your punters. Just remembering which there is, because there's so many bloody elevators. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's even more down that end as well. Once you make your way into the terminal, it's then the decision of where do I stand so my passengers can see me. Now, because most people book me because it's me, I just usually wear something iconic like this jacket, or I tell them, look, I'm going to be wearing all black. Whenever I turn up, I never usually use the signboard, because the issue with the signboard is that everyone looks at the names. You've probably done it when you've gone to an airport. You just look at the names because it looks fun. So you sit there thinking, is that my passenger? Is that my passenger? So what I generally do is I tell them what I'm wearing and try not to stand too close to the entry arrival doors. Terminal 5 is a little bit difficult because there's 2 doors in, and the barrier that you have there is right up against the doors. So if you stand too close to that barrier, people just walk straight past you, and then you get a call like, hey, where are you? So it's just good to stand back. Most of the guys with the signboards, they know to stand back for that exact reason, basically. It's also worth checking the status of the bags as well, because obviously if the bags haven't arrived, then your punter's not going to come out. So just see what the flight's saying. I used to try and say things like, meet under the Costa, but the Costa is massive, or meet by this SIM card company. It doesn't work. People just, especially like if they've been on like a long 10-hour flight, if they're jet lagged, whatever, sometimes they'll send me a photo as well, what they look like, so I know what to look out for. You can generally spot certain nationalities of tourists as well. A big one is to know how big their group is, how much luggage they've got, because again, when they come through, you know that you're looking for, right, 2 adults, 2 kids, and then that helps narrow it down a little bit.
Once you've found your punters, obviously, good chance to see if they want to go for a toilet break, they want to grab a coffee or something, you know, just had a long flight.
When I leave, I like to go back exactly the same route I did to get down to the arrivals level. Even if it takes a little bit longer waiting for the lift, there's nothing more embarrassing when you go, oh, let's use that lift over there that no one's using, and you find out that that lift only goes to floors 4 and 5 and you're parked on floor 2.
Because if you try to go back a different way or pick a different lift or a different stairwell, sometimes I've had it in Terminal 5 where it doesn't line up, you end up in the wrong place.
When you get back to the car park level that you are parked on, you can then pay for the parking you've just done. Probably the best time to do so, because by the time you take them back to your vehicle, load them up and get them out, you might have incurred even more time. So pay for it as soon as possible.
What's the damage? Have I done it in under 29 minutes?
And hopefully, if you've heeded my advice correctly and you've done it like a pro, you will be within the glorious 29-minute window, paying only £6.
A bosh.
Not bad. Depending on your punters and how much luggage they've got, you might want to say, look, if you guys wait here, I'll go get the vehicle and then we'll load up here if, you know, there's space to do so. You don't want to do this and then find out you've blocked the entire car park. But sometimes it's better than if you're on the other side of the car park and having to lug them and their cases to the other side of the car park. Use your judgment and common sense here. You've taken out all the stress of picking people up. You're going to get an amazing tip from your clients because you was there smiling in the terminal on time, even though their flight arrived early. That's what it's all about. If you want to see how the taxi ranking system actually works at Heathrow, then check out this video over here. It's actually much longer than just those few cabs you see on the terminal. It's a giant park, and that's all in this video here.